Hey, will you be at the temple next week?
Yes.
Oh, we'll see you then.
Do you have cartel?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Check 61 today. 31.
31.
31.
Put his collar on.
I'll do it.
Wait, where did you go?
It's right there.
Oh, yeah, two. I put
Jayo Kunjali Yasodhanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjali Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjali Hari Jai. Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of the coward ladies of Raj, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Jasoda, and the delighter of the inhabitants of Raj. He wanders in the forest along the banks of the river Jamuna. Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udirayat.
Tato Jayam.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam,
Bhagavatam,
which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan.
One should offer respectful obeisances
unto Narayan Rishi,
unto Narayan Rishi,
the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati,
the
goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author.
the author.
Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Yadyantasto Yabadrani Vidunoti Saritsatam Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta Preshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, by the rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Yesterday I was reading a little bit about nescience, Our suffering is due to nescience. So that last verse there, ever good attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by the rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of God and to his praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. So nescience, it's the disease, to think with this material body, the darkness of nescience. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from the second canto, chapter 6, text 31. Please repeat. Narayane,
Narayane,
Bhagavati,
Bhagavati,
Tadidam,
Tadidam,
Vishvam,
Vishvam,
Adhitam,
Ahitam,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Tadidam, Vishvam, Adhitam,
Tadidam, Vishvam, Adidam,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Tadidam, Vishvam, Adhitam,
Tadidam, Vishvam, Adidam,
Grihita,
Grahita,
Mayoru,
Mayoru,
Gunaha,
Rugaha,
Grihita, Mayoru, Gunaha,
Grahita, Mayoru, Rugaha,
Sargadav,
Sarvadav,
Sargadav,
Sarvadav,
Agunaha,
Aguna,
Sargadav, Agunaha,
Sarvadav, Aguna,
Svavataha,
Sarvataha,
Sargadav, Aguna, Svataha,
Sarvadav, Aguna, Sarvataha,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Tadidam, Vishvam, Aditam,
Haridam, Vishvam, Aditam,
Grihita, Mayoru, Gunaha,
Grihita, Mayurugana,
Sargadav, Aguna, Svataha,
Sarvadav, Aguna, Sarvataha,
Narayane Bhagavati
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Tadidam Vishvam Ahitam
Taridam, Vishvam, Ahitam,
Grihita Maya, what is it? Maya, I can't, for some reason I can't see the words so well. Maya Gunaha
Grihita,
Saganam, Sagat, is that Sagadan? Sagadan, Agunam, Swadam.
Sarvadav, Aguna, Sarvataha.
It's that the letters are so faint for me. They're just need a new
It
pen.
needs a new pen.
Yeah, it needs a new pen. That's my excuse.
Narayane, Bhagavata, Bhagavati, Taridam, Vishvam, Ahitam, Garhita, Mayaru, Guna, Sagade, Dav, Aguna, Savataha,
Narayane Bhagavati,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Taridam Vishvam
Taridam, Vishvam, Ahitam,
Mayaru Gunaha, Sagadava Guna Svavataha,
Narayane Bhagavati,
Narayane, Bhagavati,
Taridam Vishvam Ahitam,
Taridam, Vishvam, Ahitam,
Grihita Mayaru Gunaha,
Grihitam Arayunam
Sargadav Aguran Swataha
Sargadav Aguna Savataha
Narane Bhagavati
Narane Bhagavati
Adjun
Haridam
Vishwamahitam
Vishwamahitam
Gita Maruguna
Girita Sargadavaguna Savataha
Narayane Bhagavati
Narayane Bhagavati
Idam Vishwamahitam
Haridam Vishwamahitam Girita Marugana Sargadavaguna Savataha
Narayane Bhagavati
Narayane Bhagavati
Idam Vishwamahitam
Haridam Sadhvamahitam
Gita Mayurugunaha
Girita Marugana
Sargadavaguna Swataha
Sargadavaguna Savataha
Narayane Bhagavati
Narayane Bhagavati
Taridam Vishwamahitam
Haridam Vishwamahitam
Ruhita Mayuru Gunaha
Girita Marugana
Sargadava Guna Swata
Sargadavaguna Savataha
Narayane Bhagavati
Narayane Bhagavati
Tatidam Vishwam Ahitam
Haridam Vishwamahitam
Grihita Mayuru Gunaha
Girita Marugana
Sargadav Aguna Swataha
Sargadavaguna Savataha.
Please repeat. Narayane.
Narayane
Unto Narayan.
unto Narayan.
Bhagavati.
Bhagavati,
Personality of
the
Godhead.
personality of Godhead.
Tat idam.
Tadhidam,
All these material manifestations.
all these material manifestations.
Vishvam.
Vishvam,
All the universes.
all the universes.
Ahitam.
Ahitam,
Situated.
situated.
Grihita.
Arhita,
Having accepted.
having accepted.
Maya.
Maya,
Material energies.
material energies.
Aru gunaha. Yuru gunaha.
Yuru Gunaha,
Greatly powerful.
greatly powerful.
Sarga adao.
Sarga Adwa,
In creation.
in creation.
Maintenance and destruction.
Maintenance and destruction.
Agunaha.
Agunaha,
Without affinity for the material modes.
without affinity for the material modes.
Swataha.
Swataha,
Self-sufficiently.
self-sufficiently.
Translation, please repeat. All the material manifestations
All the material manifestations
of the universes
of the universes
are therefore situated in his powerful material energies,
are therefore situated in his powerful material energies,
which he accepts self-sufficiently,
which he accepts self-sufficiently,
although he is eternally without affinity
although he is eternally without affinity
for the material modes.
for the material modes.
I will now repeat. I'll just read the translation. All the material manifestations of the universes are therefore situated in his powerful material energies, which he accepts self-sufficiently, although he is eternally without affinity for the material modes. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada.
The question put by Narada before Brahma concerning the sustenance of the material creation is thus answered. Material actions and reactions, as the material scientists can superficially observe, are not basically ultimate truth in regard to creation, maintenance, and destruction. Material actions and reactions, as the material scientists can superficially observe, are not basically ultimate truth in regard to creation, maintenance, and destruction. The material energy is a potency of the Lord, which is displayed in time, accepting the three qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance in the forms of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. The material energy thus works under the supreme spell of his lordship, although he is always transcendental to all such material activities. A rich man constructs a big house by spending his energy in the shape of resources. And similarly, he destroys a big house by his resources. But the maintenance is always under his personal care. The Lord is the richest of the rich because he is always fully complete in 6 opulences. Therefore, he is not required to do anything personally, but everything in the material world is carried out by his wishes and direction. Therefore, the entire material manifestation is situated in Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Truth is due to lack of knowledge only, and this fact is clearly explained by Brahmaji, who is supposed to be the creator of the universal affairs. Brahmaji is the highest authority in Vedic wisdom, and his assertion in his connection is therefore the supreme information. Brahmaji is the highest authority in Vedic wisdom, and his assertion in this connection is therefore the supreme information. Translation. All the material manifestations of the universes are therefore situated in his powerful material energies, which he accepts self-sufficiently, although he is eternally without affinity for the material modes. So Brahmaji is the highest authority in Vedic wisdom, and his assertion in this connection is therefore the supreme information. Does anybody know who heads our sampradaya?
What?
Our sampradaya?
Brahma.
And of course we would say that before that, Krishna himself.
Right.
We all know that, that's a given.
But not Sampradaya is called Brahma.
Brahma, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya.
Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya,
Madhva,
Sampradaya.
Gaudiya, Vaishnava. And we still don't have that poster, do we?
Oh, with all the gurus?
Yeah.
No.
The entire Parampara?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
30 or
nice.
40.
Be nice to get that one.
Do we have it?
We have it
Well,
at school. We
in
have
the
it
school?
at school.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's
That
right.
makes sense. That's definitely should be in the group.
In the nursery, you mean? In the nursery?
It's Rupanuga Vedic College. They put that together.
Oh, they made it
But what I'm asking is when she says
It's
we have
in
it at
the
school,
nursery.
is that in the nursery?
in the Gurukula.
Nursery, that's all we
The,
do.
in the Sunday, the room that
It's
we
called the
have
nursery?
for Sunday school. It's, you know,
Oh.
Sunday school.
I don't know if it's still displayed, but I know we have it.
So in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 4, that the Lord says, the blessed Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivishvan, and Vivishvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed to, am I the only one that says Ichvaku?
I say that.
You did?
Instead
Okay.
of
Or
what?
maybe
What else do you
Well, I know I heard Prabhu say something like Ikaku, something like that.
Ichvaku.
He did say Ishvaku.
I mean, I don't
Okay.
know.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Is that-
Yes, it's on me.
And Prabhupada says, herein we find the history of the Bhagavad Gita traced from a remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of the kings of all planets. This science is especially meant for the protection of the inhabitants, and therefore the royal order should understand it in order to be able to rule the citizens and protect them from material bondage to us. I was mentioned earlier about omniscience. I mean, it's nice that it's simple, just a couple simple sentences, but it says so much. I mean, To know who our enemy is, I mean, it helps. When in the battlefield, it helps so much if you know who the enemy is. So human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path utilizing the opportunity of the human form of life. Prabhu said, chanting, dancing, feasting, and hearing the truth from self-realized souls who would not be attracted to this movement. It's so attractive. We all want to dance, we all want to sing, we all want to eat wonderful food, and if it's been offered to Krishna, remnants of the Lord, I mean, that's something to get ecstatic about. I mean, seriously, this is really, the Lord touched us with his lotus lips, and now I'm able to take it and partake of that. So wonderful. And hearing the truth from self-realized souls, the actual truth from actually self-realized, purified souls. I mean, you know, of course, we may or may not be able to appreciate, you know, but we can be like a sponge. We can be just like a sponge, you know. It's not our business to judge who's advanced, who's not advanced. Our business is we're simply a servant. Prabhupada says if you're the 100th servant, that is your perfection, you know. It's not like in the material world, if you're the 100th servant, then it's a very bad thing. But in the spiritual sense, Krishna is very much aware of the 100th servant. He's not attracted to, like, for even with the gopis, when they thought we're the most fortunate women in the universe, then he left. Suddenly he's gone. Where'd he go?
What was it?
Krishna. Where'd he go? Krishna's gone. Why did he leave? You know. And he's not attracted to us being proud, you know. So Prabhupada said that if you think you're advanced, that's cause for fall down. It's a fine line we're walking. It's a razor's edge, you know. Prabhupada says that it's a razor's edge. The slightest, you know, deviation, then there's a cut, then there's blood. It's like a razor's edge. Is it? Oh, I should be so worried. Well, not exactly. I mean, just take shelter of the deities. Take shelter of the holy name. As long as we're always taking shelter, you know. Taking shelter of the bona fide guru. How fortunate are we that Srila Prabhupada has blessed us. He only, like for instance, he only came to this farm. It was just here one day, I believe, you know. But this...
Not even a day.
Not even a day.
Spend the night.
But he walked here on this...
He walked here. He was here for hours. He was here. He cooked here. That picture you see of Prabhupada's
Yeah,
cooking.
right. Actually, there's a picture up here now of... The correct picture is now up here in that display case. Not the reverse negative, is that what you call it? Reverse? The one that we used to see. But, and I heard that, Mataji, are they going to rebuild that temple?
I mean, there's been talk of doing a Prabhupada memorial there, but not recently.
Huh? Yeah.
We talked about it 2 weeks ago in the CNT meeting.
Oh, really?
Well,
Okay.
we made a plan for the things that need to be done. It was discussed.
This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. You know, that movie, the old movie about the Ten Commandments, you know, that was nice. 10 orders from the Lord chiseled on the cliff wall, whatever, tablets. But just imagine, I mean, I always thought it'd be nice if there was so much more from the Lord.
There was another 603 laws.
603 laws?
Yeah, I've been studying the Old Testament.
Mosaic. Those are Mosaic laws.
Yeah,
Mosaic?
Something
From
was
Moses.
that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right.
it actually was a covenant, and the covenant included, there were the 10 principal ones, and of those, they were split in half. 5 about, your relationship with God, and the other 5 was, don't kill, don't lie, don't steal, don't covet, no adultery, like that. Those 5 were about personal things. The others were about have no false God.
Have you actually seen the wording? Did it say do not kill humans or do not kill animals?
Well, everybody has their, idea. I've never seen a Bible as it is, as if you're asking me that. No, I've never seen a Bible as it is.
Yeah.
That's the fortune that we have, that Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta and the disciplic succession have given us this pure transcendental knowledge as it is, not with some other adulterations mixed in.
Okay.
But because of them, because of Prabhupada, we can understand those teachings from the Bible more clearly.
Yeah, that's a fact. The more we read the Vedas, the more we can understand the Bible, the more you can appreciate the Bible. Seems like. Well, from what I've experienced, what little I know, Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalona, Steva, 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 Gavtir, Anyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. That's from the Brihan Naradiya Purana. It is said there that in Kali Yuga, present age or Yuga, people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties. The best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord, which, of course, is also in the Bible, all through the Bible, hallowed be thy name. And it also mentions chanting. I've seen it in the Bible. Chanting with cymbals and drums. Chanting the Lord's name with cymbals and drums. That's what we do. We just want to live more like what Jesus Christ was advocating, So yesterday was Christmas Day. So we like to say that every day for us is like Thanksgiving and Christmas rolled into one. Every day of the year. We wake up excitedly in the morning, waiting to see what realizations, Christmas presents, that Krishna's going to provide for us, and eager to see the deities, see how beautifully they're dressed. So you get up early one day a year, Christmas morning, out there in the world. You wake up like that, which is nice and exciting, but imagine waking up every morning, 3:30, or some people, when do you wake up, Prabhuji? About 12:30. Wow, I thought it was 2.
Yeah, no, I started chanting around 1.
And you've been doing that for many, many years, haven't you?
A little while, yeah.
And it's really, must be really nectarine chanting that early.
Most of it, there's struggles.
Yeah. And reading that early, I've discovered that basically anything you read so early in the morning, it seems to stay with you all day long. Unless you're tired and you read it.
Chanting that early, before all of, the modes of nature are quiet. Everything's quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, your mind isn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Your mind isn't. But there's no phones ringing. There's nothing to disturb you except for yourself.
There's no cars driving by, no horns honking.
Yeah, so that's the main thing, is being, if you can do it. I didn't plan to do it, it just happened.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I made spiritual advancement, it was a physical problem.
You still chant the Bhagavatam every morning?
Yeah.
How long does that take? About an hour?
No, I don't know. Anyways, it's not a class, it's about my habits.
Well, we're getting close to the end, closer, which means that Lochana Das Thakur, I want to read some about him. Sri Lochanadas Thakur appearance. Sri Lochanadas Thakur appeared in this world in 1520 AD, 34 years after the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lochanadas wrote a biography on Lord Chaitanya entitled Sri Chaitanya Mangala, and he wrote many devotional songs. Sri Lochanadas Thakur took birth in a family of Rarahiya physicians who resided in the village of Kogram within the Mahakumar Katna district of Badarman. His guru was Sri Narahari Sakar Thakur. Quote, I am the servant of Thakur Sri Narahari, who is the master of my life, the desire of all my desires. I place at his lotus feet, which is that this vile creature, myself, might describe something about the wonderful qualities of Sri Gaurasundar. In this expectation, he is my only refuge. Chaitanya Mangala, Sattva Kanda. His father's name was Sri Kamalakara Das, and his mother's name Sri Sadananda. He was the only son of his parents. He was raised in his maternal grandfather's home, and his education was completed there. When he was only a little boy, he enjoyed the good fortune of meeting the devotees of Sri Gauranga. He was married at a very young age. From his youth, he was very attached to Sri Gaurasundar and consequently very disinterested in material life, though he was surrounded by family, friends, and society. In his youth, he spent a major part of his time at his guru's Shripat, Sri Kanda, where he learned how to do kirtan. The book that he composed, Chaitanya Mangala, was from the diary of Sri Marari Gupta. Quote, Marari Gupta, who resides at Nadia, composed many beautiful verses about the life of Sri Gauranga. These include the youthful pastimes of Nimai, which Marari Gupta personally took part in, and his later pastime in Nilachala, after he accepted sannyas, which were narrated by Sri Damodar Pandit. Having heard these verses of Marari Gupta composed in Sanskrit, I have become very attracted, and so I have composed them in the village folk poetry meter of Bengali. In his Chaitanya Mangala, Sri Lochanadas Thakur has written, quote, my hope of hopes is to be near the lotus feet of Sri Narahari Thakur, to serve and worship him with my very life. The cherished desire of the fallen Lochanadas is to be allowed by the grace of Narahari to sing the glories of Sri Gauranga. My Lord is Sri Narahari Thakur, and I am his servant. Bowing and praying before him, I beg him to allow me his service. This is my only aspiration, end quote. Previously in Bengal, especially East Bengal, now Bangladesh, the poets used to compose sacred songs and verses in different forms of classic rhymes and rhythmic meters called Panchali, such as Lakshmir Panchali, Sanir Panchali, and Manas Bashan. The Panchali style composition was especially used for glorifying the Lord. Sri Lochanadas Thakur used the Panchali form of a verse meter in composing his famous work, Sri Chaitanya Mangala. The Panchali form employs 5 different kinds of song styles or meters. The principal source material that was drawn upon by Sri Lochanadas Thakur as composing his Chaitanya Mangala was a Sanskrit book by Marari Gupta called Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam. See more books on Mayapur Mahaprabhu here. Lochanadas Thakur explains this in his Chaitanya Mangala as follows, quote, that very Marari Gupta who lived in Nadia composed many Sanskrit verses about the life of Sri Gauranga, which he later arranged in the form of a book. Having heard these verses from Murari Gupta, Damodar Pandit taught them to me, and I memorized them with great delight. As these Sanskrit verses and the conception of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, imparted to me through Damodar Pandit, developed within my mind, it flowed forth from me in the form of these Panchali verses in Bengali, which I write in glorification of the life and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya, Siam Sutra Kanda. In his preface to the Chaitanya Mangala, Sri Lochanadas Thakur offers his prayers to Vrindavandas Thakur before proceeding with the narrative. He says, quote, "I offer my prayers of submission to Vrindavandas Thakur with all my heart. The sweet song of his Chaitanya Bhagavat has enchanted the whole world." Siam Sutra Kanda. Vrindavandas Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat was originally called Chaitanya Mangala. It is said that Sri Lochanadas Thakur and Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gave it the name Chaitanya Bhagavat. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kahe Veda Vyasa Chaitanya Lilara Vyas Vrindavan Das. Translation: Veda Vyas has described the pastimes of Krishna in his Bhagavat. The Vyasa of Chaitanya Lila is Vrindavan Das. End quote. From this comparison between Veda Vyas and Vrindavan Das, it has been concluded that Kaviraj Goswami is probably responsible for Vrindavan Das Thakur's work becoming known as the Bhagavat of Chaitanya Lila, or Chaitanya Bhagavat. There are many pastimes of Sri Chaitanya that have only been touched on briefly by Vrindavan Das Thakur. These are described in detail in the Chaitanya Mangala or Lochanadas Thakur. The Chaitanya Mangala is divided into 4 parts: Sutra Kanda, Adi Kanda, Madhyama Kanda, and Sesha Kanda. The Sutta Kanda has 2 chapters. Adi Kanda has 7 chapters. Madhyama Kanda 12, and the Sesha Kanda 3. The contents of the Adi Kanda are as follows. The first chapter in the Sutra Kanda is called Mangala Charana, or auspicious invocation. It begins with the song of the glories of Sri Chaitanya, and then praises the Vaishnavas who were personal associates of Sri Chaitanya. After this, Lochanadas Thakur offers respects to his Gurudev, Narahari Sarakara Thakur, and prays for his Guru's mercy. He offers his obeisances at the lotus feet of the countless devotees and personal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known and unknown. Having prayed for the blessings of Guru and Vaishnavas, Lochanadas explains that Murari Gupta has written a book in Sanskrit called the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that since that book is no longer available, he is giving its essence in the form of Bengali verse called Panchali. He then briefly describes the subjects found in the Adi, Madhya, and Sesha Kandas. The second chapter of the Sutra Kanda is called the Granthar Ramba, for here the book actually begins. In this chapter, Lochanadas relates how he heard from Damodar Pandit the story of Jamini's Mahabharata recital, wherein he describes the conversation between Narada and Uddhava. In that conversation, Narada explained the cause of Krishna's appearance in the golden form of Sri Gauranga. One time, Narada saw that with the coming of the age of Kali, the living beings had fallen into great suffering. He began to worry about how they could be delivered and the principles of Dharma restored. Thinking in this way, he decided that only Krishna's descent into this world would deliver the fallen souls and restore the principles of religion. Wanting to appeal to Krishna to descend as an avatar, he set out for Dwarka Dham. At that time, Krishna was staying in the palace of Sri Rukmini Devi. Just then, upon hearing that Sri Krishna would soon appear on earth in a golden form, with the golden luster and devotional mood of Radharani, Rukmini Devi became deeply troubled. Feeling separation from the Lord, she fell at the lotus feet of Krishna and began praising the qualities of Sri Radha whose devotion was so glorious that Krishna wanted to honor her by assuming her luster and mood. At that time, Narada entered the room. He explained to Krishna the reason for his trip, that he wanted Krishna to descend to the earth planet in order to deliver the fallen souls. At that time, Krishna revealed to him how in the future he would appear as the son of Sachi Devi, and Jagannath Mishra, and Navadvip Dham, in a golden form with all his transcendental associates. Having seen that golden form revealed, Narada was overwhelmed with ecstasy, constantly thinking of his golden form and the Lord's plans to appear in Navadvip Dham. As Sri Gauranga, Narada, the best of Munis, went to visit Namishranya, all the while singing the glories of the Lord. There, in answer to Uddhava's inquiries about the welfare of the living beings, he explained how in Kali Yuga, the best of all ages, because of Sri Gauranga's advent, Krishna would appear in a golden form as Sri Gauranga and perform the kirtan of the holy name of Hari. So there, in answer to Uddhava's inquiries about the welfare of the living beings, he explained how in Kali Yuga, the best of all ages, because of Sri Gauranga's advent, Krishna would appear in a golden form as Sri Gauranga and perform the kirtan of the holy name of Hari. Narada told Uddhava how the Lord would come to establish the Sankirtan of the holy name of Krishna as the Yuga Dharma, the religious principle for the age of Kali. Narada explained the glories of kirtan. Thereafter, Narada Muni related to Uddhava the discussion that had previously taken place when he had gone to Kailash and visited Lord Shiva, the best of Vaishnavas. There, Narada and Parvati discussed the glories of Mahaprasad. Having heard of the glories of Mahaprasad from Narada, Parvati had performed 12 years of Lakshmi Seva. By her mercy, Parvati got some of Lakshmi Devi's own Mahaprasad and also gave Shiva a small bit of the prasad. Not able to tolerate the dancing of Lord Shiva upon obtaining this Mahaprasad, the earth came before Parvati and begging her to give the Mahaprasad of the Vaishnavas to all the Jivas. With this proposal, Parvati explained how the Gaura avatar would come in Kali Yuga and distribute Mahaprasad to all the fallen souls. After this, Narada went to Brahma and discussed the Gaura avatar with him. Brahma, the creator at that time, explained to him the essential subject of the Srimad Bhagavatam and showed him how the version of the Bhagavatam supported the Gaura avatar. After this, Narada began wandering here and there. As he went from place to place, he began concern about the sufferings of the Jivas. As he was worrying about the living entities in this way, he came near Jagannath Puri. There he heard a divine voice discussing the avatar of Jagannath. On the order of the divine voice, he went to Puri. From there, the Lord ordered him to go to Goloka. First, he came to Vaikuntha. After this, he arrived in Goloka, where he saw many pastimes of the Lord. There he saw the Lord in his golden form of Sri Gaura and fainted in ecstasy. After this, he went all over the universe, informing all the gods of the news. In Svetadvip, he saw the supernatural pastimes of Balaram, the very figure of service. After this, all the demigods began taking birth on earth. As previously mentioned by Krishna in his conversation with Rukmini, the Lord, along with Satyabhama, Rukmini, and all his eternal associates from the spiritual world, came with the luster and mood of Radharani in a golden form as Sri Gauranga. He came to spread the sankirtan of the holy name of Krishna. Balaram came as Nityananda. Shiva came as Advaita Prabhu. And other great souls descended as his other eternal associates like Murari, Mukunda, Srivas, Roy Ramananda, Ishwar Puri, and Madhavendra Puri. Lochana Das Thakur concludes the chapter by praising the glories of his guru, Sri Narahari Sarakar Thakur, and his nephew, Raghunandana Thakur. The first chapter of the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Mangala describes the Janma Leela, or birth pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The chapter first describes the advent of the Lord's eternal associates who appeared in this world before Mahaprabhu himself. Does it say 8:30 over there? I can't see the clock.
It's 8:27.
Okay. It's like it goes on a long ways. Y'all want me to stop here? Usually stop at 8:30.
Is
Have
it-
time for
is it
comments?
the parents or just the parents? Is it the parents or just the
You want me to go to the end? And,
Looking.
oh, appearance.
It's
Okay.
our parents, okay. I just didn't know. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, I'll show you a little bit more. First chapter of the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Mangala describes the Jama Leela, or birth pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The first chapter describes the advent of the Lord's eternal associates who appeared in this world before Mahaprabhu himself. Lochan Das Thakur describes the Lord as the remote and immediate cause of creation, the Parbrahman, Sri Narayan himself. That supreme personality of Godhead descended within the womb of Sachi Devi and advented himself upon this earth. In this way, gradually, Sachi's womb grew day by day, and her body assumed a supernatural effulgence. Seeing her wonderful bodily effulgence, everyone was astonished and thought, quote, surely a great personality is about to take birth from the womb of Sri Sachi Devi, end quote. When her, quote, pregnancy was in its 6th month, one day Advaita Acharya Prabhu went to the house of Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra. Arriving there, he offered his obeisances to the child in the womb of Mother Sachi, and then circumambulated her. Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra could not understand the cause of Advaita's unusual behavior. In this way, Brahma, Shiva, and other gods came to offer their respects to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had hid himself within the womb of Sachi Devi, knowing well that he would soon advent himself in this world to deliver the lowest of men with the highest nectar of Krishna Prem. Detecting their presence, Sachi Devi felt great joy. When the heart of Sachi Devi was full of mercy for the whole world, that is to say, when the most merciful Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had completely filled her heart, gradually the 10th month came. After this, taking advantage of an auspicious moment, on the full moon day in the month of Falgun, in the midst of Hari Sankirtan, Sri Gaura Chandra appeared like a golden moon from the ocean of the womb of Mother Sachi. Jai. In this way, the Lord appeared on earth, and the 10 directions were jubilant. The gods and goddesses, women and men, eager to hear see the moonlight face of the son of Sachi, hurried to the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. In this way, their home was transformed into Vaikuntha. It's amazing. Interesting. Yesterday we celebrated Christmas Day, and today we're talking about the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. How about that? Jagannath Mishra and all the residents of Nadia, who had turned out to see that divine child, were all struck with wonder to see his beauty. He had a neck like a lion, arms like the trunks of elephants, and a broad chest. His lotus feet were marked with the auspicious symbols of Lord Vishnu, a flag, a thunderbolt, and a rod for driving elephants. Seeing all of these wonderful and superhuman manifestations of divinity in the child, the people there were all astonished. Everyone speculated about his supernatural origins, saying, quote, he is definitely not an ordinary human. For 8 days, the newborn child and its mother were quarantined, as is traditional for childbirth in Bengal, and on the 9th day a great festival was held. At that time, all the neighbors were filled with great joy to see the boy, and their attraction for him increased. The second chapter of the Adi Kanda describes the Lord's Bala Leela, childhood pastimes. Here, Lochan Das Thakur describes how, after 6 months, the grain-eating ceremony of Sri Gaura Sundar was held, and after this, the name-giving ceremony was performed. At the appearance of the Lord, the whole world was delighted. Since the Lord gave pleasure to the whole world, the Brahmanas said his name should be Vishvambar. Soon Vishvambar began to walk by holding onto Jagannath Mishra's finger with his tiny hand. The different women in the village used to decorate him with different ornaments, and they would wonder at the beautiful elegance that emanated from the child, which was as bright as millions of moons. The moon outside can brighten the darkness of night only slightly, but the moon of Sri Gaura Chandra can illuminate all darkness, both within and without. Sachi Devi would sing to her son while threshing wheat, and at that time all the demigods are all prayers to her son. Seeing this, Sachi Devi was quite amazed. Sometimes she would see Gaura Hari chanting the glories of Radha Krishna with the gods, and would become astonished and faint. When she heard ankle bells ringing on the bare feet of her child, again she was bewildered. Sometimes she was afraid that ghosts were causing a disturbance, and sometimes she would look in the mouth of her child, and, beholding the universal form, became completely astonished. In this way, gradually Gaura Hari grew old enough to play outside, where he astounded his newfound childhood friends with his divine antics. His playmates were quite attached to him. Sachi Devi would carry the baby Gaura Hari in her arms and watch after him carefully as he ran about, to keep him from smashing everything as he played. Once he explained to Mother Sachi the nature of things pure and impure, instructing her on the aprakrita nature of Krishna, who is master of everything. By sitting on a heap of broken clay pots soiled with leftovers, he instructed his mother on Gyana. Seeing his mother bewildered, he brought her some coconut fruit. In this way he performed many childhood pranks. He used to play with puppy dogs. When Sachi Devi chastised him for playing with the dog, and Gaura Hari had to give up his pet, he cried tears of anger before Sachi Devi. At that time he bestowed a divine spiritual body upon that dog while performing Hari Kirtan. The dog went to Vaikuntha, and as Brahma, Shiva, and the other demigods saw the good fortune of the dog, they were all amazed. Sachi Devi was astonished at the activities of her son, who made her understand his supreme position as the absolute Lord. The fourth chapter of the Adi Leela of the Chaitanya Mangala describes the Lord's Falguna, or boyhood Leela. Having heard Marari Gupta reciting the Yoga Shastras, the Lord mimicked his gestures and speech, making fun of him, and then began to laugh uproariously. Thus Marari Gupta was enraged and chastised the Lord with words of anger. In return, the boy, intending to express his contempt for the conclusions of yogis, went to Marari's afternoon lunch and urinated on Marari Gupta's plate. After this, he instructed Marari Gupta on the superiority of Krishna Bhakti. Haribol. Finally, the author discusses Mahaprabhu's boyhood performance of Sankirtan and relates what he heard from Damdar Pandit and Marari Gupta's notes on the sannyas of Vishvarup, the Lord's older brother. He also relates the lamentation of Sachi Devi and Jana upon her son's taking sannyas. He also recounts many other pastimes performed by the Lord as a boy. At that time, the Lord's hair-cutting ceremony took place, and soon thereafter, the day of the Hatkar, or the first holding of chop, came. On that day, to signify the beginning of a child's formal education begins, he is given a piece of chalk and a chalkboard, upon which he is to draw the letters of the alphabet. Upon beginning his studies, the Lord was overjoyed to meet many new classmates. On the day that his son's education began, Jagannath Mishra was very pleased. That night, however, he had a dream in which a Brahmin appeared to him and told him that his son, Vishvambar, was Bhagavan himself, who can educate the Supreme Lord or discipline him as a small boy? From this, Jagannath Mishra can understand the supreme position of his child. When his dream broke, he was again overwhelmed with the sentiments of parental love and soon forgot the dream. At a particular time, the sacred thread ceremony of the boy was performed. After this, there is a discussion of the four ages and the Yuga avatar. In Dwapara Yuga, the Supreme Lord himself, Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda and Vrindavan, makes his appearance on earth. And in Kali Yuga, Sri Krishna appearing with the luster and the mood of Sri Radha, advanced himself as Sri Gauranga. By performing Sankirtan, he establishes the religious principle for the age of Kali, Harinama Sankirtan. In order to establish the Yuga Dharma, he comes as a preacher. Mad with Krishna praying, he delivers all souls with the ecstasy of love of God by moving here and there and distributing divine love. While in his Grihastha Leela, He ordered his mother to refrain from eating grains on Ekadasi. In this way, instructed everyone to follow this injunction. Gradually, Jagannath Mishra fell ill and passed away, entering into the Lord's unmanifest pastimes. At that time, the Lord instructed Sachi Devi on the fleeting nature of a man's short life within the material world. He also explained many other important principles of divine reality to her. With the passing of her husband, Sachi Devi greatly lamented. Gaurahari himself also lamented the passing of his father. After this time, he began paying close attention to his studies. Chapter 4 describes the Lord's pastimes of youth and marriage. One day after school, the Lord was walking home from his teacher's house. I guess it's just going to keep on going through all the chapters.
We have to go. We have an 8:30 meeting
Okay.
with Ben.
Oh, you do?
No, we do the garden.
Yeah, it goes on. It goes on and on and on and
I
on.
didn't know about this.
See, that remind me of when you were talking about Lord Chaitanya and chanting Hare Krishna. What came to my mind was that he would cry, and the only thing that would make him stop crying was that the elderly ladies or the ladies that were there that were trying to keep satisfy and certain that they would get them to chant Hare Krishna.
Yeah, and then he would get really jolly and smile, and he would sway back and forth.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Jai, thank you, Prabhu.
Glories to simple devotees, glories to Paramahansa, Shri Shri Tai, Shri Shri Radha Kanta.
Hare Krishna.
Loshanath Thakur, yes.
Jai.
Jai.